him into this life, as he said, make it part that we're here tonight. So I first acknowledge and toast you.
Cheers. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
But more importantly, you know, I've only had the fortune to know Healy, I guess, more personal, close, perhaps the last 4 or 5 years. And I've always heard John Healy. I kept saying, who the hell is this guy, Jerry White? I thought it was a figment of Jerry White's imagination, which quite often there are figments that he makes up. And so I always questioned who the hell he was, and so eventually over time I actually got to meet John. And I never really got to know John. And with technology nowadays, you know, I still tonight, you know, there may be a lot of things I don't know about John C. Healy Jr. that I know about. So I said, what's the way to do this? Is you just Google it, you know? I mean, that's how you learn all about life. And so I Googled it first of all, and then I had a lot to worry about because the first image that came up gave me an indication there was a possibility that Healy wouldn't show up, the dollar wouldn't show up tonight. Because the first thing that showed up was the John C. Healy Jr.'s obituary. It was May 27, 2002.
Obituary.
And I said, well, there's something Jerry didn't tell me about tonight. So, in fact, there is a John C. Healy Jr. obituary, but does show up when you first Google when you Google it. And just so that you understand that when I Googled Healy, you know, to understand that I also, just so you know, Ron, I knew you were coming, so I Googled your name. But to show your relativity in life, there were 87 hits on you. So, you know, and so that was not bad. I Googled Jerry White's name, there were 54 hits. Pretty impressive still, I thought. Pretty good. So I Googled John C. Healy Jr., and 12 things came up. 10 of which were credit card companies looking for Healy. One of which was to show you how old his hits were. It was a MySpace. Was it MySpace, not Facebook. A MySpace thing. So that was what, 10 years ago or 12 years ago. But actually, a couple of things.
He's got a file on it.
A couple of things did show up besides the obituary, which was the first thing.
Have you found
the first
Jimmy
was John,
Hoffa?
just so that you know, your John C. Healy Jr. Consulting LLC in Texas has expired and is not in good standing with the Secretary of State. You might want to renew that with him because your articles of incorporation have been revoked. So
now I'm going to pay for this meal with my business credit card. Thank you for that. You saved me a lot of money just now.
Check with the Secretary of State with that. But short of that, other than the 10 credit card companies that we're looking for, and short of the MySpace, and short of the obituary, there was nothing else about you. And I realized the reason that was because John C. Healy Jr. doesn't really exist. Because the only guy I knew was Johnny Dollar. That's the guy that I knew. And that's who I met. So I
Show me the goal. Show me the goal.
Why don't you Google Johnny Dollar?
Yeah.
So sure enough, I Googled Johnny Dollar and my computer was like smoking. Every which way we loose. First Johnny Dollar. Actually, Johnny Dollar is a rap singer in Boston, Massachusetts, who has a band called The Final Hour. And the most impressive thing about him is the tattoo on his leg, which of course he brazenly has on Facebook. I mean, he has on,
do you have that tattoo?
On YouTube. There's also, I did not know this.
Is it a flying squirrel?
There's a Johnny Dollar comics magazine that's actually out.
Oh my God.
So it really does. His name is
Wow.
I Admire Promptness, Hornet. Have you the money? This is from Johnny Dollar, the comic figure. I didn't really know there was such a person, but there really does. But then I went on to Google more about Johnny Dollar. Now, and I apologize, John and Pat. Perhaps you all both know this because of your age, and not that you are that much older than the rest of us. But there truly was a real Johnny Dollar. Now, this is for real. Now, I didn't know about this. And what the unusual thing about it was when you read the story who real Johnny Dollar was, look how this actually follows the life of our Johnny Dollar. Now this is real. He was a radio talk show in the 40s to the late 57. There were over 811 episodes to which to this day 720 still exist, to which I listened to 2 of them today. And the story of Johnny Dollar, this is true, it's called Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. And the story of him was he was the radio drama of the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator. The show aired on CBS Radio from January 14, 1949 to September 30th, 1962. And to reiterate, there were 811 episodes in the 12-year run. More than 720 of those episodes actually still exist today. But listen to this story and see how closely it follows the Johnny Dollar that we know. And I'm reading from what Wikipedia actually has.
Yeah, so it's got to be
So
true.
it's got to be true. Each story started with a phone call from the insurance executive calling Johnny to investigate an unusual claim. Each story required Johnny to travel to some distant locale, usually within the United States, but sometimes abroad. Is that not where Johnny traveled?
That's what he does.
Where he almost always was threatened with personal danger in the course of his investigation.
Busted.
Johnny's file in each case was usually referenced as a matter, as in the silver blue matter, which is a story that I actually listened to today, or the Forbes matter. Later episodes were fanciful with titles like the Wayward Trout matter.
The Wayward Trout?
And also featured guest appearances by Vincent Price. We all knew Vincent Price. But here's the catch. Johnny usually stuck to business, but would engage in romantic dalliances with women he encountered on his travels. Did he not have the right Johnny Dollar? Later episodes gave Johnny a steady girlfriend named Betty Lewis. Johnny's precious recreational time was usually spent fishing. I think we got the right Johnny.
I think we had the right Johnny.
And it was not uncommon for Johnny's clients to exploit his favorite pastime in convincing him to take a job. Each story, this is the last paragraph, each story was recounted in a flashback, as Johnny listed each line item from his expense account. The episodes generally finished with Johnny tallying up his account and traveling back to Hartford, Connecticut, where he was from.
The home of insurance.
And each of his expense accounts detailed every dollar that he spent, including the 25-cent shoe shine. So if any of you want to Google Johnny Dollar, you can actually watch the episodes.
Wait, let me show him the picture.
I'm not finished. You can watch the episodes and see what I'm talking about. So it actually depicts the
No, listen to him.
It's radio show. But it very much depicts. I listened to it. They're pretty neat. But then I wanted to see what Johnny Dollar looked like. And this is what I took off of Google. And how appropriate that it's got Johnny Dollar, and he always went by Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar, with a picture of a woman's leg stopped and sticking out. I thought that
Jeff,
was
we have to make a poster of that for you to hang in your house.
I think it was only
I think we need to hang it
And
up in
of
his
course,
house.
the other picture, as you Google,
That's
his
not
other
right.
story was Johnny
Johnny
Dollar,
Dollar.
Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar, with the gorgeous woman looking over his shoulder.
Oh, I think we need to make a
So,
poster of that.
you know, I think there's nothing that you can't find out about somebody
Oh, I know,
by
Google.
short of doing that. So Johnny, true to your fact, that is the Johnny Dollar that I know.
Here, here.
With all that said, I do want to make a serious toast to Johnny Dollar. And that again begins by acknowledging and thanking the two of you for bringing this guy into all of our lives. Because as we go through life, we meet many people and we have many experiences, and our lives are touched. And Johnny Dollar is one that's touched my life. And so I can say this, that, you know, for a man who I would say sometimes is complicated, he's probably very uncomplicated and very easy to explain. He's one of these guys who loves life and loves enjoying and meeting people. And I think that is very, very true to his character. There has never, ever been an experience, never. Like I said, we were talking about how you come to Commanders, and I've never had a bad meal at Commanders. I've never spent a day without meeting Johnny Dollar, without having dinner, or at Jerry White's, wherever it might be, but I didn't leave laughing, and didn't leave happier, and more fulfilled in the days than I did with you, Johnny Dollar. And that means a lot to me, okay? And so that's the kind of guy that you are. And the second thing about Johnny Dollar, well, the first thing I want to report about it actually, is he's one hell of a classy dresser. My wife once said, he probably has more money in belts than I have in my So when we were in Napa Valley last year, I mean, we had like a $4,000 pair of shoes, which I don't have enough blue jeans to match $4,000. But with that said, the final thing I want to say about Johnny Dollar, I think is the most important thing, is that if he is your friend, you are one of the most valued things in your life to have as a friend, because he truly is. He cares about who his friends are, and he cares about each of us. And my life has been impacted by having you in my life, Johnny, and my Dollar, and it is important, and I appreciate every opportunity I get to share with you. And thank you for being our friends. I know you changed each of our lives, or touched each of our lives in some point or other. And we appreciate it. We wish you many more years, and I look forward to
another 50 years.
Another 50 years of 100th birthday celebration.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to Johnny Dollar.
All right.
Love you. Awesome.
Jim,
You're here.
absolutely brilliant.
Top work, Jam. Top work.
Fantastic.
Can't
Wow.